So as soon as the drama season begins, we see the atmosphere of war in a jungle. The war was going on between the humans and the creatures called Fae, who were humans, but a little different. The pig face has wings to fly, while the pig face looks a little like a sheep. At this time, humans had captured Phalang illegally, and those people were taking out the Fae's gun from here. They were being shot and fired at. These people could not even fly away, because in the jungle, they were tied up to control their flight. When the minion sees everyone around him dying, he runs fast. Fortunately, he did not become the target of any bullet, and while running, she reached the top of a mountain. She jumped into the water, from where a ship rescues her. It turns out that many Faes were trying to save their lives and get out of here. But unfortunately, after going a little far, this ship crashed, and the people present in the ship also died, except for Vignant. Floating with water, Vignant enters the city of Burj, and he is kept captive here. The ship that was destroyed was of a rich man named Azra, who had just invested a lot of money on that ship. But unfortunately, all his money was lost, and in return, he got only Vignant. Whatever he did, he kept it as a servant of his sister Imogen. Meanwhile, Imogen tells his brother Azra that the house in front of us has also been sold. I have heard that someone has bought it by bidding a lot, and today he will also shift. Azra was not particularly interested in this, but Imogen was, because she was still single, and she felt that maybe a beautiful prince would come to live outside her house. Today, Imogen sends Vignant to the market for some work. On the pretext of work, she also goes to the Carnival Row, where prostitutes used to work. One of them was Vignant's friend. Her friends were very happy to meet her, and when her friends saw that Vignant had video hair, she tells him a bitter truth that Philo is still alive. And at this time, there is an inspector in the police. The scene cuts towards Philo, who was investigating the people who attacked the face at this time. He comes to a bug at this time, about which he came to know that someone attacked him today. He forgets about the attacker, that he had hair and had a snake tattoo on his hand, with the signs given by this woman. He recognized very easily who that boy could be. He now goes to the bar and tries to catch that girl, but that boy runs away from the hands of Philo. Philo wanted to catch him at any cost. That's why they both came to the port while running. And here that girl told Philo that I am not behind the attack on Fae, and the truth is going to show. You just have to stay away from the dark god, which is coming. Before Philo could arrest him, he jumps into the water from here and kills himself. Now the scene is cut, and we are shown a female singer named Ashley, who was heading towards her house at night. Suddenly, a dark creature out of the tunnel attacked her and took her inside the tunnel and killed her, because Ashley was also a flying Fae who tried to fly to save her life, but she failed. Now here Winged, who found out that Philo is not dead. She was very angry with Philo's lie. She also cuts her video hair and flies to Philo to take revenge. She wanted to kill him, but stopped. She still loved Philo. That's why she couldn't kill him. And then Philo tells her that he didn't break her to die. But when I found out the truth, that you lied to me, I was sadder than your death. Before Philo could say anything, she flies away from there and doesn't give her a chance to speak. In the morning, we were shown a scene from the assembly. The atmosphere of the assembly was very hot. Actually, the opposition people were against Philo staying in the city, while the consular used to talk about their rights, because this place where the people were living, this was a city of face, even though they lost in the war between humans and face. But still, all the faces here, they also have some rights, whom the consular wants to take care of. Anyway, in the same way we meet the consular's son Jonah. He has no interest in politics right now. He is addicted to alcohol and gambling. And one day, he is found in Carnival Row, where prostitutes work. His dad had forbidden him to go there 1,000 times, but he didn't listen to anyone. And one day, when he went to Carnival Row, someone kidnapped him in the middle of the night. As soon as the consular and his wife find out about this, they get worried. The consular reassures his wife and tells her to stay relaxed. Look, the day he kidnapped him, he will call us for his demands. We will fulfill his demands, and Jonah will come to us safe and sound. They also removed Jonah's bodyguard from the job because he couldn't protect Jonah. Many days pass by. Jonah is nowhere to be found, and no one makes any demands for Jonah. Then the consular's wife gives him a suggestion. Why don't we call the Black Witch and find out about our son through her magic? The consular didn't believe in all this, but he agrees for his wife. and then the black witch comes to his house. And after sacrificing his pet wolf, she tells the consular's family that Jonah has been kidnapped by someone who knows the consular very well. Not only that, but he also wants to make the consular fall. He wants to look weak. Hearing this, the consular understands that behind all this, his opponent leader is also the consular. But the real truth, we get to know in the next scene that Jonah wasn't kidnapped by the consular, but his own mother. And the black witch lied to the consular about a plan. What is going on in his mind? We will get to know in the next scene. And now we see Imogen and Ezra. They were going to meet their neighbor, who had just shifted to the house in front of them. When they go home, they find out that their neighbor was not a human, but a fairy that looks like a spider. Knowing this, they both get very disturbed. They used to consider fairies less than themselves. And now a fairy was living in their community, on their level. So they call their lawyer, so that they can get the fairy out of their house. But no such law has been made yet, according to which a fairy can be thrown out of her house. Although that fairy bought that house, we get to know that fairy's name is Grace, who helps Imogen in the rain by giving her an umbrella. But here we feel that Imogen doesn't feel comfortable standing with her. When Imogen goes home, she finds out from her brother that her financial condition is getting worse. Because of the sinking of the ship, she has suffered a huge loss. To pay for it, Ezra has to mortgage his house because Imogen also had a share in this house. She was not comfortable with it, that her house should be mortgaged in the bank. To find a solution to this problem, thinking about something, the Pocky living in front of their house invites T to their house. Grace will definitely help him when he will see that Imogen has invited him to her house. Now Imogen made a mistake, that she called him from the back door of the house and made an excuse that the first door of the house is being repaired, although there was nothing like that. And Grace understood this. He says, I know. You called me from the back door so that the people around do not see that I have come to your house. So in anger, he gets up and leaves and does not listen to Imogen. Imogen tries to make a deal with Vignette, but Vignette kills her and runs away. When Imogen asks her to run away, she says she must have stolen something. In the anger of this thing, Imogen goes to the police station to complain about her, where there was a Philo police inspector. He could not bear the wrong thing about Vignette, and he decided that he will free Vignette. So he went to Ezra to take her contract. And finally, he freed Vignette from the captivity of Ezra and from the slavery of Ezra. After doing all this, now he reaches the crime scene. At the crime scene, he found Ashlyn's dead body, which was killed in a very bad way. After killing her, he tore her stomach and spread her hands everywhere. Such a bad murder. He had seen for the first time in his life who could have been behind such a strange murder. But during the investigation, Philo finds out that it was Ashlyn, a female face singer. To advance the investigation, she had to do post-mortem, but all the people refused to do post-mortem. So Philo goes to a butcher, who was also a fae, and he did this. During the post-mortem, Philo finds out that to see Ashlyn's dead body, Faye's mother has come. She wanted to do some ritual on her, so that her soul gets peace. Philo finds out that the one who killed Ashlyn is neither a human nor a fae. As we have seen, in a strange thing, Philo finds out that Ashlyn's liver is missing from her body. We see Vignette. After getting rid of Astra's slavery, she has come to a group of faes. This is a rebels group who fights for Faye's freedom. There is no place for traitors here. Vignette understands this. When her leader kills a man in front of Vignette because he was a traitor, to check Vignette's loyalty, she gives him a task to go to the police headquarters and get the police flag from there. Without thinking, she goes flying and starts removing the flag. Many police officers were behind her, and Philo too. Philo tries to stop her, but she threatens Philo. She has to leave him. Maybe he was sad to hear about his secret. To share this sadness, he goes to his fae friend, who was in jail at that time. The story goes in flashback, and we know that there were soldiers in the past, and their battalion attacked Faye's city. At that time, this whole battalion was in a village, where Philo is in a library, and suddenly someone attacks him from behind. It was Vignette, who used to guard this library. This library was very important for Faye. She used to value it a lot. She used to hide the location of this library. Looking at Philo, Vignette asks him, "Who are you? What is your purpose of coming here?" Philo says, "I just came here I will not tell anyone about this place." Hearing this, Vignette's leader allows Philo to leave. Vignette was in Faye's army. She had to do a lot of work, like when her telegraph line is damaged. Then Vignette goes to fix it. And when Vignette is fixing the line, then suddenly, a half-wolf attacks her, who is a human, but he injected himself and turned the wolf into a wolf. These people succeeded in defeating the half-wolf. But Vignette and Philo, a wolf bit a friend of a wolf, and because of this, on the night of the full moon, he himself turned into a wolf. He didn't want to tell anyone his secret, but Philo saw him that night. His friend tells him that all this happens only on the night of the full moon. Other than that, he is completely normal. Then Philo says in response, "You don't worry. I will not tell anyone about this." Then the scene is cut, and it is shown that keeping an eye on Philo, Vignette started liking Philo, and here Philo too. Then the next morning it is shown that Vignette's prostitute friend in this city brought a lot of faces, whose city was attacked by humans. At night, Vignette wants to meet him. These people talk, and the girl asks Vignette, "What is your and Philo's plan after the war?" She was definitely asking him about marriage. But Vignette did not ask Philo. At night, she asks Philo. Philo tells her that he is an orphan, that he has no one in this world. Vignette did not have a problem with this, but Philo had another reality. Philo was not a complete human. He was half-blood, that is, half human and half fae. So much so that his feet were also there, which were cut in childhood, whose marks are still on his back. Vignette had true love for Philo. She says to Philo, "I will not tell anyone about this. You will live a good life." The next day, Vignette's friend meets Philo and tells him, "Vignette loves you very much. She will not leave you. Just take care of her." Actually, Vignette's friend wanted Philo to retire from the army after this war and spend the rest of his life with Vignette. For Vignette, he stopped playing with these dangers. The next day, Philo's battalion gets the order to leave the city. They were just leaving, and Vignette's friends attacked. That is, those people attacked who used to inject themselves and turn themselves into wolves. These people wanted to kill all the fays. So quickly, all the fays start leaving the city. Philo knew that Vignette would not leave the city without him. So he gives Vignette the news of his death through a girl. She's also a liar, and he takes such a Vignette with him forcibly, so that she stays safe with him. After which the scene ends here. We come to the present time, where Philo was remembering all this time. He now goes to meet Vignette, where Vignette was very angry. Vignette tells him that she has never told her secret to anyone, but now she doesn't even love him. During this whole scene, on the other hand, we are shown that Philo's professor who had to get him kills him by holding a strange hair. Philo is kept for the investigation of this case. While investigating, he reaches a drainage. In this drainage, Philo sees a strange creature. He wanted to kill him, but his first shot missed, and as soon as he loaded the gun and tried to kill him again, the creature had disappeared from there. To find out what that creature was, he goes to the monk of the Fays. During Ashland's post-mortem, he told Philo about such a creature. But at that time, Philo did not trust him. Upon questioning, the monk tells him that this creature is a dark Escher. This dark Escher is made by combining the organs of dead humans and animals, and then black magic fills it with life. He still didn't believe in this theory. How would he have believed if he hadn't seen it himself? So he goes to the Dark Witch and asks her to make a dark Escher for him. The Dark Witch tells him that I will make that creature, but for that, I will need some things from you. And then this creature will die, only when you die, because this creature dies at the death of its master. The Dark Witch also tells him that the dark Escher that has attacked the people before, their liver goes through it, because through the liver, they find out all the information that they had hidden inside them. After doing this, he returns to the police station where his duty was to investigate the murder of his professor. He goes to the orphanage where he learns from the headmaster's assistant that the headmaster used to go to Carnival Row every weekend. In Carnival Row, when Philo wants to meet the girl he was in a relationship with, he finds out that the headmaster never stayed with him. A doctor used to come here to meet him, who now works for the police headquarters. The scene shows that the doctor he was talking about holds Philo's head and kills him. This completely disturbs him. His case was not being solved. Where he got the clue, the same clue was killed. Anyway, When he investigates the doctor's clinic, he finds out that doctors were more famous for their other jobs than their treatment, such as getting abortion illegally, changing people's genders, and showing them like humans by cutting their face hair or horns. After knowing all this, he understands that in his childhood, he was the doctor who cut his face hair. And now, with some evidence from here, he finds out that Aisling, who was a face singer, and the first person who was killed by Dark Escher, was Philo's mom. Knowing this, he was shocked. Another thing that scared him, he realized that all the people who were killed by Dark Escher had a deep relationship with Philo. Like Aisling was his mom, the headmaster had raised him like a father since his childhood, and the doctor was a friend of both the professor and Aisling, and he knew all the secrets about Philo. After this, Philo meets Aisling, his mom's old friend, who used to show dramas to others through his creators. And Aisling used to sing songs with him. He says that years ago, Aisling stopped working with him. And there was a big twist in the story behind this. It was that the counselor used to like Aisling. Aisling spent a lot of time at the counselor's house, and then she suddenly passed away so that she could give birth to Philo. Now, after all this, we see Grace, who lives in front of Ezra and Imogen's house. She finds out from her neighbor that Imogen's family is going through a difficult time. Knowing this, she understands that Imogen called her for help, not to insult her. As soon as she realizes this, she goes to apologize to Imogen. Here, Imogen also tells her that she has no objection to Grace's faith. She just likes Grace for her goodness. Here, Grace agrees to help Imogen, but only on a small condition that Imogen will help her to get along with the people here. Grace has a tea party at her house in which she invited all her neighbors who were very rich. In this party, she called Grace as the chief guest. However, Ezra, Imogen's brother, was not happy with this decision. Then Imogen tells him, "Look, I have a taste in this house, and I am not at all comfortable with you leasing my property in the bank. Grace is helping us, and we need her help." The next day at the party, Imogen introduces everyone to Grace. The conversation goes on, and the people present here, Imogen's people, start making fun of Grace. Grace gets angry, and he was about to leave the party, but then Ezra entered. Keeping all his pride aside, he went and shook Grace's hand and made her feel that she and the person are exactly equal, so that she is not upset, and the rest of the people were forced to respect Grace. Grace was very satisfied that Ezra and Imogen had fulfilled their promise, so he gives them a check to help them. Now Imogen also liked Grace, more because of her habits and her goodness. She started spending a lot of time with him. She started going to parties with him. She was very impressed with his intelligence and business conversation, and she used to disturb him, who used to judge them both. We meet the counselor, whose son was arrested by his own mom, but the accusation was on the launcher Pei, the counselor's opponent. The counselor now gets him arrested by the police and tells him that if you tell me the truth about my son, I will let you go immediately. But how could the launcher Pei know about his son? He tells him that he did not kidnap your son. The counselor thinks that he is lying, and he arrests him. Now in the same prison, the counselor's wife wants to meet the launcher, and as soon as she goes, showing sympathy, she gives him a bottle of poison from which he dies. She immediately comes and tells the counselor that the launcher also died because of your crime. The counselor's hands and feet were swollen because he thought that now he would not be able to reach his son. But here his wife told him that no, he has told him his son's whereabouts. The counselor rescues his daughter with his people, and as soon as he comes home, hearing his mom's heels, he recognizes that the one who kidnapped him is not the launcher, but his own mom. But he had no solid evidence, and he was now in such a dilemma that why his mom could do this to him. He did not want to pay attention to these things, so he talks to his dad about going away from here. When he used to spend a good time with his family, most of his time was spent in the carnival room. Then his mom tells him that someone told me that my husband and son must be very famous people, and this profession has been fulfilled. Look, your dad is a counselor, and now you also want to be a big man. So leave all these things and focus on yourself. The scene cuts and now wants to show us the vignette. Nowadays, the group with which she was working, they often show the vignette to the police. They don't know that Philo and Vignette have a secret relationship, but they assume that Vignette is definitely giving the news to Philo, that is, to the police, because for a long time, their news had been leaked. And we already know that in their group, she was about to kill Vignette when Vignette told her that she had never given the news to the police. So in response, she says, "Tell me who the informant is." If you bring his address and cut his wings, then your life will be spared. How does she run the news? She gets worried and goes to her friend. And her friend now meets Philo to help Vignette. He tells Philo, whatever news you have, tell me its name, otherwise Vignette will be killed. Philo did not want to tell his name, but to save Vignette's life. So she went to Vignette's house to kill him. And the news had already been leaked that Vignette was coming to kill him. So before Vignette came, he was ready. As soon as he came, he attacked him, and before he could cut Vignette's throat, someone shot him from behind. Looking back, it was Philo himself, who had come to save Vignette. Now Vignette cuts that man's wings and kills him for telling the right person's address. The next day, Vignette finds out that the library, which she had been protecting all her life, was being displayed in the Burkish Museum. She immediately goes inside and starts crying after seeing all her books. Because those books, those things that they kept secret, were now open to everyone. Vignette was seeing all of them, that she was being arrested here. The guard of the counselor's son, who was fired by the counselor, also joins a group of fays. All the pugs used to stay here who believe that humans would never accept them, and they see the proof of this at the same time when a human tries to beat a pug badly. And then at night, this whole pugs group catches that human and kills him by doing a bad ritual. The scene got cut. The counselor's son was now very sincere for his future. He had left the wrong job, and now he wanted to study, and teachers were being found for him. Ashland's friend, whose creatures were caught by the police because he didn't have a license to keep his creatures. He didn't have a job, so his friend suggests him to become Jonah's teacher. Jonah accepts him because he was very different, and whenever a pug gets involved, he tells him not to meet him and to be careful. Because humans and fays had some difference, but Imogen started to like him and Grace too. That's why they don't think about the world and get closer to each other. Here in the assembly, a new character is introduced who is Sophie, the daughter of Laundry Bay. Laundry Bay is dead, so Sophie has taken all the responsibilities, and like Jonah, she is against fays, and in the assembly, she is in opposition to the counselor. Jonah, who was watching EJ assembly from the library, is very impressed with this girl. They meet each other, and then Sophie tells Jonah that she has no interest in politics, but she can't even let her dad's supporters go to New York. They talk here, and both of them realize that their habits are very similar. They wanted to be friends, but couldn't because their parents were enemies. And even though they didn't want to, they had to continue this relationship. Time goes by, and they keep meeting every day. And then one day, people get close to each other in the library. Here is a scene of the police station where Philo's seniors are talking about Philo's progress. Philo hadn't made any progress, but he must be doing corruption. Now the seniors give Philo's job to their son. Philo was a paying guest at his house, and they were friends, which increased a lot. But when this girl found out that Philo is a half-blood, she ended her relationship. And today, she tells the same truth to her dad, Philo's senior. Now another man comes here and tells Philo's senior that Philo has made a dark ash for himself, and he wants to hide all the killings. And Philo knows the reason behind it. Because of all these things, Philo gets arrested by his department, and the seniors deliberately lock Philo in a cell so that all the people kill him, knowing he is a half-blood. But now the senior's daughter was sad that she told everyone the secret of Philo. That's why she goes and tells her dad that she lied, that Philo is not a half-blood. Philo's dad was angry at her betrayal. That's why I lied to you. After hearing this, Philo's senior offers to get her out of here and says that if you swear that you are not a half-blood or a fae, then I will get you out of here. Philo, who was hiding the truth for 32 years, was tired of this. He didn't want to hide it anymore, so he tells his senior that he is a fae, a half-blood, who was cut in his childhood. Now here, he is given the order to get Philo out of here, while Vincent, who came to meet him, was also arrested. And when he sees Philo going out of the cell, he starts crying because he felt that Philo would be punished. Philo himself felt the same, but instead of being punished, they take him to another room where Philo meets his biological father. He meets his real dad, who was none other than his own counselor, who still loved Ashland. And he felt that Philo killed Ashland, but Philo tells him that he didn't kill Ashland. And Philo asks him that if you cared so much about my mom, then why did you leave her? Why did you let me spend my life like an orphan? Then the counselor loses his words and tells him in tears that his dad threatened to kill Ashland and said that if he didn't leave her, then he would kill Ashlyn. And Philo tells him that he didn't even leave her, I just took her to her friend's house. To save her life, Philo tells the counselor that he didn't know that Ashlyn was pregnant. And for years, he didn't even know that she had a son. That means you were also born. After knowing all this, the counselor leaves Philo and promises him that he will leave Vignette. He was signing Vignette's releasing paper, and he got a card, which he got from his job, and he met Buck's group. He was brainwashed and was taught that the more people you kill, the easier your life will be, and to make his life easier. He kills the most powerful person, that is the counselor. On the other hand, the counselor's wife and son were fighting because Jonah, the counselor's son, wanted to marry Sophie, the daughter of the laundry bay. When Jonah forced his mom, he had to tell her the truth. That Sophie is his half-sister. After hearing this, Jonah was shocked. He wanted to break up with Sophie, and when he goes to break up, he finds out that Sophie already knew all this, and in the next scene, Jonah finds out a core twist of his life, that his father also had a doubt that Jonah, his biological son, is not his biological son, and after hearing this truth, Jonah just broke up. On the other hand, Ezra sees Vincent and Grace together, and this was enough to brainwash him that his sister is in a relationship with Buck. Seeing this, he goes to kill Buck in anger, but here Imogen saves his life. Now when Ezra is torturing his sister Imogen, Grace gets angry and throws him away, and blood started flowing from his head. Seeing this, Imogen knows that police won't let Grace go because they already hate Buck. That's why she tells Grace to run away, and she decides to take all the blame on herself. After getting signaled, we see the Chancellor again, who now has his wife. The Chancellor tells him, I know you are behind all these killings, and you had your son kidnapped. I will never tell you about that son. According to the prophecy, the Chancellor's son was going to rule this world, and the Chancellor's wife wanted to accept him as her son, but when the Chancellor refuses to do so, she puts a pillow on the Chancellor's face and murders him. She kills him and then takes his liver out of his body so that he can know all the secrets about him through this liver. She gets to know about Vignette, who is relieved by the Chancellor to know the rest of the story. She has to go to the Black Witch, who kills herself by poisoning her, and before she dies, she tells Philo that she and Vignette are in danger, and she dies. And because of this, the Chancellor's wife gets very angry. She had to find out about the Chancellor's son, and now she kidnaps Vignette. Before she kills Vignette, Philo, who gets to know about Vignette's danger, comes to save him, and behind him is Dark Asher. This Dark Asher belongs to this lady, and through this Dark Asher, she wanted to erase all the secrets about her husband. She wanted to reach his real son and accept him so that his position in front of the world will always be strong. And before Philo attacks this lady, or Dark Asher attacks Philo, Dark Asher stabs this lady in the head from behind, which kills the lady, and as soon as she dies, her Dark Asher, both Vignette and Philo both die. The news of the Chancellor's death spreads throughout the city, and the Chancellor is replaced by his son Jonah, who was his son in front of the world. Jonah now hires Ashlyn's friend as his legal advisor. As Ashlyn thought Jonah was smart and wise, Sophie was even smarter. Sophie was the one who blackmailed her mom and told the Chancellor that Jonah was not her son, and because of her, all these killings happened. After knowing all these things, Jonah was blind that he would become an enemy of Sophie. But he joined Sophie in the assembly because he knew that if Sophie was killed, the Chancellor would kill all the Fays, and again, a strange war broke out between humans and the Fays. In the city, it was announced that if a Fays was seen flying, it would be killed. Not only that, the police were also catching the Fays. The police could not start the investigation while Ezra, his brother, keeps watching him from behind. While here in the city, it is shown that the Vignette was also caught with all the Fays and was being forced out of the city, and at this time she was crying because Philo was not with her. Suddenly, she looks back, and Philo also reveals his identity in front of everyone and comes with him. They hug and promise that they will not leave. Philo is also shown with the Vignette and all the Fays. And this season ends here. That's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about this movie and what other movies or documentaries you want me to review next. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.